Hello, and welcome to today's episode. The Bible is referred to as the living Word of God. It isn't a book that is meant simply to be read. It is a perspective-altering substance that is meant to be ingested and absorbed into you. And when it becomes a part of you, it changes you. And that is exactly what it is meant to do. A psalm is a spiritual song based on a profound, foundational insight that is expressed in the form of music, which is usually played on a harp. This is my own paraphrase of the Psalms. Now, there is an important difference between a paraphrase and a translation, and it is important to understand what that difference is. A translation takes a text word by word, and it finds the most accurate word in another language to convey the meaning of that original word. But sometimes getting the details right can come at the expense of the big picture. For example, the literal translation for a butt dial and the literal translation for a booty call could end up being exactly the same if they were both translated very literally into another language. But we all know that those are two very different ideas. A paraphrase, on the other hand, is attempting to capture the spirit of the idea that is being expressed. But both approaches come with their own disadvantages. Sometimes the most literal translation for each word, while technically accurate, loses something in its translation. For example, if you were to translate the phrase, "cat got your tongue," into another language, it would make no sense to them. Why would a cat grab your tongue? What are you even talking about? In order to convey the original idea, you would have to find out which saying is used in that other language to express the same concept. But it might not involve a cat, or even any animal at all. So the literal translation would not be a very accurate one. But in a case like the one that I just described, the idea is more important than sticking to a very literal translation that loses all of its intended meaning. However, because paraphrases are an individual's interpretation of the underlying idea, instead of a rigorous academic translation of the word, they are not as objectively accurate as a translation is. A paraphrase is a lot more subjective, and that makes it much more susceptible to interpretations that are way off the mark of the original text's intent. The focus of a translation is on detailed accuracy, and sometimes the broader picture is not conveyed very clearly as a result. The focus of a paraphrase is on painting that big picture, but it often loses the accuracy of the finer details. Both of these are useful as long as you understand which is which, and what the disadvantages to each approach are. And that is why I recommend using both an accurate translation like the New American Standard and a responsible paraphrase. Psalm 32, a psalm of David. How happy and how fortunate are the people whose errors do not count against them, whose rebellious offenses have been forgiven, and whose sin is covered instead of nakedly exposed. How blessed are those who have been offered a fresh start by the Most High, and who now have a new beginning, because their spirit is no longer deceitfully holding anything back. And at that point, He does not place the guilt on them that they deserve for the stubborn defiance that is in their past. But when I kept silent about my sin, my body wasted away, and the entire substance of who I am dissolved in the roaring misery that consumed my days. All day long, and throughout each unending night, I could feel the heavy weight of your hand on me. It was impossible to ignore, but as I pushed ahead with my own choice, the sap of my life's vitality was drying up inside of me like a spring that shrinks and disappears during the fever heat of a summer drought. Pause and reflect on that thought. But when I finally acknowledged my sin to you, when I turned around and faced it, instead of trying to conceal the defiance that I was guilty of, and I finally said, I will confess my failings and my acts of rebellion to the Most High, you forgave the stubborn guilt of my sin and took it away. Reflect on the full meaning of that for a while. This is how everyone who is faithfully trying to follow in your footsteps should pray to you during the time when they are most likely to discover you. After that, even when they are in the middle of a raging flood in which the waters of chaos are rising, it will not be able to reach them on their solid footing. You are my hiding place. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with triumphant, boisterous songs of deliverance. Think about what that really means for a while. Your covenant promises that I will give you instructions and teach you as you continue walking down the higher path that you should choose to travel on. I will be there to counsel you as my eye watches over you. So I would advise you, do not be like the horse or like a stubborn mule that is not able to understand its world, which means that it has to be controlled through checks on its freedom, using a bit and a bridle to keep it on track, or else it won't come anywhere near you. For the sorrows and the torments of those who insist on going their own way are many. But spontaneous love and unmerited mercy envelops the person who trusts in the Most High. So celebrate everyone who has been set right by Him, and let yourself be completely filled up with gratitude in the Most High. Shout for joy, all of you who know the freedom of aiming up and of being pure deep inside of your own hearts. I pray that whatever voice God might choose to give me in this world, He would also give me the words that I should use it for. These words have meaning for me, and if they had some meaning for you as well, then I am truly grateful that we have both been given a gift from above and from each other. Have a good day out there, my friends.